Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're discussing Obi Rebirth. It's the movie directed by Muyiwa Ademola, Adebayo Tijani and Tope Adebayo. Yes, three heads that are most likely better than one, but it's mostly Muyiwa's film. It's a direct sequel, spiritual sequel in a sense to the 2004 ORI, which was very popular back then in the days of VCDs and VHS and all. Now, what is this film about? It's the same theme, sort of, that the original movie talked about fate, destiny, and one's head or inner head being able to carry you past the devices and plans of the wicked. Yeah, that's putting it more simply. Because Ori Rebirth is now streaming on Cover, this review will contain spoilers, so be warned. So this guy, Bisade, played by Muyiwa Ademola, is caught in a dark web and he doesn't know it. He's more or less surrounded by evil people. Chief Yeye Fernandez, played by Sola Sobowale, who is his mother-in-law. She is the whip of fashion against him, to put it in mild words. She doesn't exactly hate him for the sake of hating him, but she easily picks her kids over him. It's one of those things where she just says, no, rather than my children to suffer, this guy, go. I give your head to the gods. The movie plays it pretty much lightly in a sense, but that's some very heavy and dark thing there because for her, it's an easy choice. Her husband, who belonged to a cult, had made some promises, and if she doesn't want her children to suffer, she has to give blood, and she just says, take my son-in-law. And that's the entire thing about the conflict, about the evil chasing Bisade. So, how does this play out? Bisade is in Abuja and then the mother-in-law wants him to come all the way to Lagos. She's like, fly now to Lagos. She wants him to come so that she can give him this evil bead that will more or less signal his death. Let's think of the evil bead like a beacon for the spiritual forces to target their arrow successfully. And because Bisade's Ori is still as strong as it was in 2004, the plane crashes. So it's like, rather than come all the way to Lagos successfully and die, we're going to crash you somewhere in the peak forest village that is away from all remote parts of the world, deep down somewhere in Oshun, and then you just stay missing for years and conveniently amnesiac. And that's what happens. And so while in this remote village that has more or less no ties to civilization, Bisade falls in love with Toyin Abraham's character, Temi Doom. And it's a very blissful few years without the worry of wealth and memories of the past and all. And they have a son, a boy that Bisade dotes very much over. And it's a beautiful life, more or less. Things start to become complicated where Bisade's memory conveniently returns a couple of years later. Now, in this span of years that have passed, his mother-in-law has been worried and has tried many things to let the evil arrow still target Bisade wherever he is because, these guys, these spiritual guys can always tell when someone is truly dead or not. And they know for a fact that he's not dead, but for some reason his spirit is so stubborn to die. The guy head too strong. His Obi is really, really active. And it's pretty much funny, all things she has to go through, the forced burials, the coffin that won't go into the grave that has been dug for it. Pretty much interesting things, that just tells you sometimes someone's head is indeed strong, like Bisade's. So when Bisade gets his memory back, and nothing spectacular happened, he just wakes up one day and he's like, where am I? Where am I? Asks for a phone, calls. He doesn't call his wife. He doesn't call his mother because, in fact, Bisade in this movie has no family that we know of or see or hear about. First person he calls, the same person doing him, Yeye Fernandez, and she sends pleas to retrieve him. It's a long thing about, that he was kidnapped and abused by Tibidu and her father, aging father, and there's this long court scene that is just, unnecessary. Well, it's unnecessary to me thinking now, but if you think about the predecessor to this film and how films of that era were very much known for things like this, you think, okay, you can slide. So, long story short, Bisade returns. It takes a while, but he eventually gets his memory back through a string of very convenient things. I don't need to even get into the details of it, but if you watch Nollywood movies well enough, you know how these things can play out. Gets his memory back, reconciles with Temi Doom and the people who are doing him bad, which is Yeye Fernandez and her children to an extent, not all her kids, or at least Bisade's wife didn't know. But the other two, the sons played by Femi Adebayo and Lateef Adedimeji, they both knew. Well, they all get what they were trying to run away from. And at the end of the day, good wins, as you would expect. This was a fine story. Story. The story was fine. I mean, when you watch films like this, you know that you are in for moral instructions, lessons. That's basically what it is. The giveaway is in the title. You were told that you are going to come in here and learn one or two things about life. That if you're doing evil, run away, because some people's heads would be stronger than your powers, wherever the source might be from. And I thought that was fine. I thought the story was fine. I thought how it tied to the original movie with the character played by Ibrahim Chata was fine. And I thought it was pretty good thinking on the part of the writer, which is still Muyiwa himself. I thought that was fine. The main issue I had with this film was the editing. I thought the editing was very disjointed. 1 minute you're watching something and the next scene that comes up leaves you wondering, did I miss something? And you are confused. This happens a lot from the beginning till the end, a lot of the times. And some editing choices made generally could have been miles better. I think the only thing holding this film back from being as great as the story it told was the editing. Yes, I think to a large extent, because when you're watching a film that leaves you feeling confused more often than you would like, there's a problem somewhere that, we can't just ignore. Thematic wise, I thought it could have been deeper, but what we got was still fine. I mean, for the target audience, the moral lessons were on the surface. You don't need to dig too deep, so it's nothing stressing you to do deep thinkings or not. So pretty much fine. So I think it's just the editing that will really chalk up. That was the biggest problem for me to get through this movie. But yes, like I said, the story was an interesting one. I thought it was good. And I hope those that are doing evil watching this will get you to back off. Yes. So yes, that's Obi Rebirth in a nutshell. Let me know what you think in the comments if you've seen it and how you think it compares to the original one from 2004. If you've seen that as well, like, share, subscribe, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.